YNW Melly's trial begins in 3 weeks. New evidence has been released against him that I need to share in this video, so let's get straight into it. Now on February 12th of 2019, YNW Melly was arrested and charged in connection of the passing of his 2 best friends. They're known as YNW Juvie and YNW Sack Chaser, and this all went down in Fort Lauderdale in Florida. Authorities have now found case-breaking evidence in the last month, which now makes the court trial begin on March 7th. As found in the court files online, it states, and I quote, "Then also, we have a video of Mr. Demons admitting to doing an act towards 2 individuals in the head." This video was on Mr. Demon's cell phone, which was brought to my office by Jameson Francis. And that is how we had that, and that is all of the evidence that Your Honor has. Now this is going to be key evidence during the YNW Melly trial in March. Now it all happened on October 26 in 2018. At roughly 3:30 a.m., YNW Melly, YNW Juvie, YNW Sack Chaser, and YNW Bortland were all at a recording studio in Florida. Video surveillance on the block of the studio showed them hopping into their Jeep and they started driving home. The driver of the vehicle being Cortland Henry, otherwise known as YNW Bortland, had YNW Melly sitting directly behind him. YNW Bortland was seen driving on a back road home. Law enforcement believes that this was the case so that no witnesses would see the incident go down. The vehicle was pulled into a side parking lot on the back road. The theory is that once the vehicle was pulled over to the side of the road, a distraction was then made inside of the car. This was to catch Juvie and Sack Chaser off guard, while YNW Melly did the act towards them in the vehicle. Law enforcement believes that it was YNW Melly who did the act towards Juvie and Sack Chaser, due to YNW Melly also sending his girlfriend at the time a Snapchat saying, and I quote, "I kept Bortland with me because at the end of the day, he did one of the realest stuff in my life." Now this could be YNW Melly's way of thanking Bortland for remaining loyal and not snitching. After the act was done, YNW Melly and YNW Bortland roughed up the vehicle to make it appear as if a drive-by happened. This would then be Bortland's excuse for this happening when he finally brought Sack Chaser and Juvie to the hospital, which also explains why it took 40 minutes to get Juvie and Sack Chaser medical attention. Now after it all went down, YNW Melly made a run for it. A GPS tracker on his phone showed that YNW Melly started sprinting down the street towards his Florida home, while YNW Bortland drove Sack Chaser and Juvie to the hospital all by himself. Now it wasn't until February 13th where YNW Melly was brought into jail for the act that led to Juvie and Sack Chaser's passing. YNW Bortland was also brought into jail that day on 2 counts of accessory and helping YNW Melly cover it up. Law enforcement has been building up evidence against Melly for 2 years. Here's all of the evidence that will be shared in court. Now in this photo, this is where everyone was sitting inside of the Jeep when the so-called drive-by happened. When this evidence was released, prosecutors also asked the judge for all of YNW Melly's body measurements. This means the length of his arms, legs, and his body weight, as they're looking to create a model of YNW Melly's body so they can recreate the scene. This explains why prosecutors want YNW Melly's body measurements due to him sitting in the back seat on the driver's side. Then these documents were also released to the courtroom. It states, and I quote, "Then also, we have a video of Mr. Demons admitting to doing an act towards 2 individuals in the head." The next one states this video was on Mr. Demon's cell phone, which was brought to my office by Jameson Francis, and that is how we had that, and that is all of the evidence that Your Honor has. These particular cell phones, which were both iPhone 10s, were on the T-Mobile network. And so T-Mobile has a very interesting feature where it will tell you the environment the cell phone is in. So from these cell phone records, I can tell you the exact moment that Demons got out of the car and staged the drive-by location. In case you didn't understand that last piece of evidence, they're basically claiming that the cell phone YNW Melly had in his pocket can and will be used as a tracking device against YNW Melly. T-Mobile is actually able to go back in time and trace where a cell phone was on a certain date and location. This is how they know that YNW Melly didn't go to the hospital with Portland juvie and sack chaser. Instead, he ran down the street to his Florida home. Now, also in the vehicle where YNW Melly allegedly did the act towards the individuals, there was evidence left behind in the vehicle being a yellow jacket. This yellow jacket was analyzed by the Broward Sheriff's Office's crime lab. A report was then issued. Dated on September 2nd, 2021, the report indicates that Anthony Williams, aka YNW Sack Chaser's DNA, was a part of the sample and that there are 3 other potential contributors. The contributor profiles are not eligible to be entered, but the prosecutors want to prove YNW Melly is guilty in this case by using a DNA test, which in the court of law is almost impossible to beat. So on March 7th, we're going to be seeing how this YNW Melly confession video is used against him in trial. To stay up to date, make sure you subscribe if you're new. I'm out. Peace.